Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a special From the War Room, the Bunker episode from deep within quarantine. The Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast is coming to you, all you Jiu-Jitsu people that are stuck outside your gyms and getting fat just like the rest of us. I am your host, Kevin Bradley, joined as always by my co-host, Kevin Gallagher, and returning guest and friend of the show, artist, musician, Renaissance man, Jiu-Jitsu black belt, really good guy, despite everything he tells you about himself. Chris Noonan. We're here. Awesome. We're staying positive, and we're just white knuckling it. We
brought Chris up because Chris is probably one of the most positive people I've ever heard in my entire life. So bring some joy and laughter to my life because I feel like I'm losing my mind. I need a little release.
Fun fact: Chris has turned down the role of the yellow Teletubby 17 times. Like they keep trying to get him.
Like, come on, man.
There's never the yellow one. I would accept if it were yellow. I love it.
we need your energy, man.
All right, so I guess essentially, as you guys are both, black belts, gym owners, this is definitely hitting you in a special way. And it's hitting everybody. It started with Keenan and it's spread out throughout the country. How are we doing?
I don't personally own a gym, but I'm involved in a few gyms, and I understand. I've been involved. I'm trying to open my own gym, but I've been involved with other people that own gyms, and it's a sad sight to see. It's a frightening sight to see. But the most frightening part of it is, I think, is that there's no end in sight. We don't really know anything. We kind of know. They keep giving us like heads up, but the reality of it is we really don't know when this is going to be over. So it's hard to plan for. Chris, what are some of the things you're doing to get through this shit?
Yeah, no, that's actually 100% true. And when I closed my academy last Sunday, I even said that it was until further notice. I didn't do the whole 2 weeks and then we'll figure it out, because that's not going to be what happens at all. It's still going to be here in 2 weeks.
Right. It's a lie. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is right now too, within 2 or 3 weeks, you guys will have an idea on who didn't follow quarantine protocol, because those people will be sick and you'll be like, oh, let's stay away from those guys. 100%, and then we can kind of start making pods of people that can hang out in quarantine together.
Hopefully.
But that's a big amount of trust. Kev doesn't live far from me, but I have to trust that he's not going to go and hang out with anybody else if we're going to hang out together and make this little pod.
And
so it's this real sketchy thing where it's going to test your friendships.
Yeah, the big problem there too is that there's that incubation period. You could be sick for you could be infected for 7 days. They're saying. I saw something today. It's up to 12 days. You can be infected without showing any signs.
You don't know,
right? And spreading it around, and it's
pretty crazy.
Oh, it's crazy, man. It's a sad thing, man.
I mean, not to bring you to a dark place, but Kev, you are dealing with it because you're in Florida. And we've seen all those videos of thousands of spring breakers swarming the beaches and almost being cavalier about, hey, it's spring break.
They just don't care. And I'm driving around in the streets all over the place, and I'm seeing people just kind of walking around like it's their daily life. And I'm going to the store sporadically to kind of get my things together for the next month so we don't have to leave again. And I'm seeing people in there just walking around like it's fucking, oh, that sucks. We got no toilet paper. And I'm just in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I'm trying to get in and out of here like it's the fucking, it's the last train out of New York City and shit. What the last chopper out of Hanoi? And fucking these guys are in there wandering around looking at the bananas, trying to pick out the best cantaloupe. It's a frightening thing because I don't know enough people are taking it seriously enough. We lost Chris.
Okay, we'll try and get him back. Yeah, but I was telling Chris that it sucks that we have this hobby where we basically torture ourselves and we love it.
Right.
But it's a rough gig, but we got to give it up. And we see these people that are unable to give up, just being kind of lackadaisical jackasses.
Oh yeah, I'm Kevin. I'm giving up everything. Not only did I'm giving up both of my sources of income. I'm a bartender, so the first thing to go with bars. So I can't work at all from that. And this is the busiest time of the year for me, right before the summertime, because we had. I work very close to a sporting facility down in downtown Tampa. So obviously we've got the Lightning going on. The Lightning are crushing it. We had the Final Four. 4 of the games of the Final Four are going to be playing downtown Tampa. We had WrestleMania coming. We were going to get crushed. This is the busiest time of the year, that I'm saving up for the summertime, and it's all gone. I'm not going to be working. And my private lesson money is going to be gone because I'm not going to be able to teach at the gym. It's pretty scary for me. I got to go 2 months, man.
Hey, man, like, and I will say it's a positive thing to see like the jiu-jitsu community sort of come together and like hold on. Just like you got a bunch of people releasing free stuff, like John Danaher, Renzo Gracie, they just opened up a ton of free content. BJJ Fanatics is having this huge sale where people are still getting paid, but it's like a discount, you know, because we get that it's a rough time for all of us.
Right.
And
I had one of my private lesson clients hook me up with a large package right before this thing went down because I told him what was going on. So, you know, people that love jiu-jitsu are going to be there to help you out when they need it. I think it's the power of jiu-jitsu is going to maybe not overcome this, but at least keep us together.
I was actually just going to ask, in your memory, since you've been in the game so long, has anything like this ever happened?
I mean, nothing like this has ever happened in you know, 5-6 generations, man. This is unprecedented. We don't know what's going on, man. It's a frightening concept. And I'm trying, like I said, this weekend I was a little bit nutty. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you could have seen my slow descent down into paranoia. But I don't think the paranoia is completely unmerited. Like, we've got a bad thing heading our way, man. Death tolls in Italy are climbing. Like 600 people died yesterday.
And a bunch of, like they said, the news has been saying that, the death tolls in China are finally, okay, we got Chris back.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Chris. Oh, we need you back, man. This thing went dark.
Yeah, we were I was tying a noose.
without you, there's no light in the room, man.
I forgot that I blew the fan on my MacBook, so it just like overheated and was like, nah, you're not connected anymore. So I'm on my phone now.
Good
okay.
Perfect.
It sounds great. Well, we were just talking about how, like, you know, as two guys that have been in the game, has there ever been something that's kept this many people, like everyone from no one's training? Has anything ever happened that's kept this type of people, like this number of people, from training?
No, because even last year with that, like, eye melting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
People were still competing with it. They were like, nah.
Right. Yeah, I will be right.
Not.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I still know a couple guys that have gyms open that are still getting in. I think that's horrible, but there's still
I know quite a few people that still have them open. And
yeah, let's talk about that for a second. And this is something that we can kind of get into. You know, so when we talk about the people, and again, that's the frightening. This is the frightening thing of it is we don't know anything. We're looking at numbers that we think we know, and the rule of thumb right now, the general consensus right now, is the fact that it's an old person disease, and you have to have some kind of prior pre-existing condition to die from it. So if you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick anyway. So I think a lot of these guys that are running jiu-jitsu schools are like, fuck, dude, like, I'm 25 years old. I'm 30 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. Like, I don't have to worry about dying. So why should I completely shut down my business when I'm not at risk for this thing?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I don't know. It's not just old people, though. It's anybody with a compromised immune system.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anybody so like, I think, not 100% sure, but I think like even people with Lyme's disease or like asthma can be impacted by this.
And it's from what I saw, a lot of the idea of mortality rate or death is not always going to be a comforting thing, because a lot of people, they're not dying, but they're coming down with like horrible lung issues and losing like 20-30% of their lung capacity.
Well, I think the worst thing that I've seen so far in regards to like the mortality rate is people that are like, they're making like compare and contrast charts where they're like, this is the amount of people that die every year from obesity. This is the amount of people that die every year from the flu. Like, no one is saying that those aren't problems, but they're not spreading it like such a crazy rate.
And you don't die from obesity in 8 days.
That's like saying, oh man, this pneumonia is not going to kill me. My brother, he died by getting hit by a car, so like, I'm basically fine.
It's real weird. Like the idea that and I understand that like everybody calm down. We've had all these other problems before. But like to completely dismiss this as something that isn't relevant, isn't a threat, like that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
I just hope that we first of all, there's that new drug coming out. They're doing a new drug cocktail. I'm on this shit like 24 hours a day. They've got that there's like there's a combination of a malaria drug and a Z-Pack that they're finding very, very high results. And there was a doctor in France that actually ran a test study with 40 patients, and it had almost like 100% clearance rate.
That's pretty amazing. Wow.
Yeah. So that there's problems with the drug, the malaria drug. They're trying something to do with the FDA or some other horseshit like that. But I guarantee you they're going to be jamming that down people's throats left and right as soon as they possibly can.
Now, then, like, I know we're far from hitting our apex. You know, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But in terms of, you know, I got to see this thing unfold. You know, Keenan was pretty famously the first guy to really sound the alarm, and a lot of people gave him shit for it. You know, and I'm not going to bemoan anyone that decision just because the margins of this industry are so razor thin as it is. I totally get why someone would be really hesitant, like back when we weren't sure. And then Marcelo followed, and then a bunch of other people. Gary Tonin for a while was a lone holdout in a lot of ways, and now he's like sort of gone with the flow. Chris, as a business owner, when do you make that call, do you think?
So I waited to say something about it. Sunday will be 1 week that we've been closed. But I think on Friday, I wrote a post saying that like I was hesitant to talk about it because I didn't want to add any more hysteria or panic without proper information. Right. We would stay open as long as humanly possible. I did go into the idea of like, you know, if you have pre-existing conditions, don't come. If you're just outright scared by all of this, don't come. But I was like, we're going to do the best we can because like I understand like what they're saying, but we're a controlled environment. Right. And I know that everybody in our little like ecosystem practices really good hygiene to begin with anyway, right? Staph, ringworm, MRSA, and Impetigo, things like that. It doesn't mean that they're not carriers. It doesn't mean that they're not picking it up from other people. But I didn't feel the need to like, and panic. Our schools, I kind of follow what's going on with like the school district for like elementary, middle, and high school. I knew that they were talking because like all of my kids are still in school. I don't know if that's going down in Florida too. My kids are all like logging into like Google Hangouts and Google Classrooms, and they're in virtual school. They still have
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
It's awesome. Like
I don't think they're really, I don't have any kids, so I don't know for sure they're doing that here.
That you know of, yeah.
Right, that I know of exactly.
They mobilize really well.
Two annoying tiny chihuahuas that bark. Sorry, keep going.
So I kind of waited to see what the schools did, and even then, like I was, you know, I knew on Friday that they were going to wait until the end of the weekend because they didn't have to make a decision. They had 2 free days with no kids in school that they were like, we could wait and figure it out. So Sunday morning, I ran my adult competition class. And like kind of right before that started, I sent out the message. It was like, all right, look, we're going to be closed. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that freaking 90% of America right now is in that same boat. It's like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to die, and I don't want any of you to die. So I guess we're going to have to just sit out and hope this thing goes away and like keep holding on and holding on for the best. But it's sad because I mean, as a business owner, you also understand, like, you know, you love jiu-jitsu and you provide the services to people that love jiu-jitsu too. So if there's any chance that you can say maybe this is an overreaction, maybe this isn't clear, you know, you wait for the government, or you wait for the powers to be to kind of give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down on what you should be doing. You know? That's
kind of the idea, though, is that, like, you know, historically, 30 years from now, 100 years from now, if we look back at this in like history textbooks, they're like, man, they really overreacted to this. That means it worked.
100%.
We did it right.
100%. 100%.
You know? But
and I keep saying that
no one did it soon enough, then it's
right.
You know,
every time I go on Facebook, or every time I'm talking, I do another podcast. We've been on all freaking like 3-4 times on my other podcasts, and they're all laughing at me. You know, I've been a little bit nutty, maybe a little nutty lately. But what I say is this: I said, I'll tell you what. Like, I hope that in 2 weeks we can make a montage of my crazy ass and all make fun of me. You know what I'm talking about? I hope that there could be a giant 30-minute montage, and we can all throw tomatoes at me, and I'll wear a MAGA hat and say you're right, I did it all. I apologize. I overreacted, because that's what I want.
That is the best case scenario, is that we all just overreacted a little.
Right.
So.
I would say that historically the only conspiracy theorists I've ever really given credence to are the ones that I've met that I know that they hope they're wrong. Where it's like, I hope I'm insane. I'm not doing this to drum up some sort of name for myself. I don't want to be a doomsayer. I want to be wrong. I want to live my life and have none of these things I'm worried about ever happen.
Right.
This is a doomsday. Like in terms of how much the world is slowing down. Okay, don't.
Fuck, bro. Don't. But I mean, no, it's true. The big problem too is just to think about. We have to think of the bright side. We have to hope on. We have to believe that all of us are going to be in this together, and at the end of the day, we'll all figure out a way to get out of it together. But if this goes on the way that like we're anticipating it, if we can go away for 2 months and we come back out again, the experts are already kind of assuming and kind of saying that there could be other breakouts. It could just start back up again. We'll have to go back and sequester again. Like 18 months is one of the figures I heard. You know what I mean? Like if we're all in it together for 18 months and we all come out of it together, hopefully at the end of the day, we're all going to be like, hey, we're all fucked. So let's just try to make the most of it and get back to our lives. But I don't
18. How do you think the jiu-jitsu community would react to 18 months with no gyms?
We would figure out a way around that. 18 months and no training ain't gonna happen. I think what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a certain point, hopefully, again, if this isn't as bad as it is, because we don't really know yet, because it hasn't hit us yet. Everybody's speculating. If this turns out to be just something that kills old people and the rest of us are kind of cool, I think that the world is just gonna have to be like, hey, this is what's going on. I hope you don't die, but like we're gonna have to keep going and just continue the world moving, because if not, shit's gonna just crash.
It's already crashing, man. That's the bummer part. And Chris, because like we know for certain that somehow this is Bobby's fault. Bobby, one of the students at the Hive, who's notorious for just causing a lot of
16-year-old that I blame everything on.
No, it's his fault. I saw him like coughing into his hand and shaking people's hand at Walmart, like just evil little man.
He ate bat soup in Wuhan.
Yeah, no, he was posting pictures of himself eating bat soup. He's patient zero.
I'm not gonna lie, no, that's impossible, because Bobby is notoriously the slowest eater on the planet. He would not be done eating.
You're still right. The damn outbreak would be over before he finished his soup.
Kev, for real, this guy, he's like a lethal blue belt, and his beard is about the same as yours. And he's
16, but he looks like he's 30.
That's great.
He is a lumberjack.
I think I'm officially gonna trim the beard off and for the coronavirus grow out, just to see how long it's gonna grow back out again.
I actually was thinking like now is a good time for everybody to like bick your head. You can hang out by yourself, see if you like the way it looks and settle in.
Right.
For some of you, it won't grow back. But for some of us, we might be like, oh, it'll grow back by the time.
Okay, Chris, your Mr. Brave hair choice decisions, you dyed your hair pink for a little bit. Like, we're not all as brave as you.
Hey, man.
Dude, where are you going? Who's going to see you?
I'll see me.
I can appreciate a man that has taste and a flair for the exorbitant, I guess, or to catch an eye. That's pretty cool.
He dyed his hair. He dyed his hair pink, went out and crushed it on Fight to Win, and then dyed it back.
So we can talk a little bit about that too. We had a couple guys. It's funny because we were going to have,
Ryan McGuire.
We were going to have Ryan McGuire on last week. It was, right? I think it was a week ago.
Yeah,
whatever day it was.
That was when we had Josh Star-Lord Leduc.
It was like 2 weeks ago, and we were going to talk about the IBJJF, and we were going to talk about what was the one down in Miami? What was it called? The Substars event that went down, and that day Ryan McGuire had to cancel on us and scramble because he was like, "Oh shit, they're canceling our event in Houston because of the coronavirus." And that was honestly like still at the point where I was like, the corona, what? Like, what? Seriously? The fucking really? It's still, when that started happening, I started thinking to myself, oh, fuck, man, like this is pretty real. Then, like, I think 2 days later, they canceled the NBA, then they canceled the NHL, and then things started to say, oh, fuck, what the hell is going on here? But Seth Daniels notoriously was one of the last people to cancel his events, and Dana White
didn't even cancel it. I don't even think Seth canceled it. I think like the state and the insurance company were
they made it right. They made it.
Yeah.
No.
I think even Seth right now has come to the conclusion that this is not something to be fucked with. That he could endanger people's lives. If he hasn't, obviously, if he hasn't by now, I saw some posts from him. He put some mats down on Instagram, and his like
him and his kid
or something. Him and his kid were training. So I wish I had mats in my damn house. I have mats. I have like a whole damn stack of mats.
You know what, man? I don't have mats in my house because I own a business where I have a room full of mats I can go on
right, because I don't need to, right? Because I have a place specifically dedicated to that. Yeah, you know what I have in my house? A fucking couch.
You know, the first second I realized this, like, because before the NBA, everyone the word on the street was like, oh, this is just a bad flu, and everyone was laughing about it, and then they were saying this is just to get Trump out of office, and I'm like, oh, I'm not even going to get into this. And the minute they canceled the NBA, I'm like, oh, they're like, greed is a really good weather stick.
100%.
I'm also interested in all the jiu-jitsu communities coming, like, sort of response to this, just because it's very in a business that can be very snobby and sort of spiteful at times. It's good to see a lot of people step up to the plate and sort of come together a little bit. You have a lot of people asking that their memberships not be frozen and wanting to keep the gym culture alive and make sure they have a place to train. After this is all over, you have people offering a lot of discounts. You know, like my one of the owner at my the gym I train at in Connecticut, Soulcraft, Brad Wolfson, he's made sure to keep everyone on payroll for the time being. You know, it's that's those sort of things. And you got people like John Donaher and Henzo offering free instructionals at home. As two guys that have seen the darker sides of, MMA and jiu-jitsu, what's it been like to see how the big talking heads react to this unprecedented event?
I mean, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, man.
You're the guest. I'm taking.
To be honest, I don't pay attention to what those guys do. Honestly, I really don't. I know that some people have offered up like access to their online training websites and stuff like that at either discounted rates or for free. Something that's really cool. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet, but a bunch of people tagged me in it. Jason Scully, the guy that runs the Grappler's Guide, he put together some sort of relief to help out academies that maybe are unable to pay their rent during this time.
That's pretty cool.
They did
some
That's
of that
the kind
with
of
the
thing.
Hospitality industry. I'm a bartender too. They set up accounts like that for the hospitality industry. It's pretty cool.
That's really incredible to see people step up and help out other people that maybe would either be considered a competitor to them in some capacity, to just realize that, like, oh no, we all need to get past this.
When we get out of this, everyone's going to want to keep doing jiu-jitsu.
Well, the question is, will you have a place to do it?
Right, and if you're going to want to have a fact to do it. The owner of my gym, Matt Arroyo, offered a program up. I thought it was pretty interesting. He said that for every month that we are closed, he'll add that on to your membership at the end, or for the time that we're closed, we'll add that onto the membership at the end, as long as you keep your account going right now, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's a pretty standard thing for a lot of people. They're doing that. We'll just tack it on at the end. It's pretty crazy, man, because like you wouldn't think that you have to ask people not to do that, but at the same time, like if they have no income,
right? That's the thing. I mean, that's where I'm getting to. Like I'm a bartender. I'm not wealthy by all. I can lie. I didn't do well with my life choices. You know what I mean? But and I live that kind of month to month, and I have a little bit of savings, but not a whole lot saved up. And I think I fall into the margins of a large portion of America. And, me not being able to work for 2 months and have zero income coming in is going to crush me. It's going to come to the point.
Yeah.
It's, I'm not, and if I was paying my gym memberships, like a lot of people that do pay gym memberships out of my weekly checks and thinking to myself, okay, cool, I have to budget together this $150 a month or $125 a month or $200 a month to go towards my gym membership. Like, I got to think about eating. I got to think about keeping my lights on. I got to think about staying in my apartment. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that $120 has to come out because I just can't pay you anymore.
It's crazy because like I have not said anything to anyone in like a post to my students about like, hey, let's keep the tuition going or anything like that. I didn't even bring it up. I don't want to put the idea in their head. I also don't want to put pressure on them either, because like, again, like if it comes down to like, oh, I have to pay rent here and have a place to live or buy food or pay you, that's a no-brainer for those people. And I would feel terrible being like, no, If you don't, then like we can't stay open. I'll figure my life out.
I think that what we're going to see happen is similar things that are happening in France and in Italy, where they're going to start to suspend mortgages. They're going to start to suspend rent payments and utility payments. They're going to have to.
They're going to like almost have to.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's like, what are you going to do? You can evict people that are quarantined into the streets? Like, you can't do that. That's not how it works.
I mean, that's a lot of legal questions are going to start being asked. Like, what's the role of the government and people are just sort of stuck between a rock and a bat soup.
Right,
like that's
rock and a bat soup.
That's awful. I'm gonna go to hell for that one. But
it's a scary thing to think. Is then when you start thinking about, particularly like I'm in two of the industries. You're talking about expendable income at the end of the month. Like jiu-jitsu isn't a necessity as much as we want to believe it is. It's not a necessity. you know what I mean? Like going out to a bar and getting a drink, as much as you want to believe it is, it's not really a necessity. It's what they kind of consider a luxury. So when you're coming off of a fucking 2-month hiatus and not making money, the first thing that gets cut is, what do you think? The luxuries, and unfortunately, while they're trying to get their shit together, will we as businessmen be able to keep our businesses running? Sorry, Chris.
You're good. The position I wouldn't.
No, because you know what? Like we are luxuries, and I think the only people that like jiu-jitsu is a necessity for is us, the academy owners, because like this is how we make.
I make my living off of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was over in the gym. I was right in the middle of it.
I mean, to a much lesser extent, like this is my biggest job that I have going for me right now, is like running the show and talking about different events and getting exposure for different things, and that's all frozen. A lot of the posts that we're doing are just sort of like checking in on people, like, hey, are we doing like. Here's how you can train at home. Well, no, it's also just like, I love that there's a beating heart to the community that I get to like now all the memes out there on like, this is stupid, but all the memes are about getting fat, and also we should have the next UFC event on a boat. Hashtag fight boat.
Oh,
that's
God, I would be the one thing that I would want of all of this, my selfish self, is to like put Khabib and put Tony Ferguson in a fucking plastic bubble, just to, like keep him safe and like let him go fight somewhere, man. Please figure out a way to make that happen for us. Dana White, I know you can do it.
Listen, if this fight does not happen, it's just not meant to be. This is the fifth, right? This is the fifth
That's
time.
so funny.
They've rescheduled it at least 3 times before.
I have a brand new conspiracy theory to release to the world: is this is God's way of saying Tony Ferguson and Khabib should not fight. He released a super bug to kill us all just so they wouldn't fight this.
Or alternatively, and I saw this posted somewhere, what if the fight is going to happen, but the coronavirus is the sacrifice the Aztec gods demand of us in order to get us there? like you need to suffer. Actually. This is going to be the best fight ever, but you're going to suffer for it.
That's equal parts funny and frightening, Kevin, by the way.
I think that the best part about this happening now is just that like Gen Z and the millennial generation are so good at turning tragedy into meme material. So all these people are incubated in houses just doing nothing but coming up with jokes.
Yeah.
And so
there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's
I'm a little bit worried about the internet starting to crash as we start to have 300 million people locked away in their houses and the capacity.
I was going to say, you're going to see like servers just like start to go crazy.
I bought a bunch of video games just to make sure. Like I bought Red Dead Redemption because I know you can play that game for like 1,000 hours.
Yeah, so I've been playing The Witcher, which never ends.
That's crazy. I don't video game it much anymore, but I just picked up, like the last time I was out, I picked up The Outer Worlds, like that new open world game. I started playing it last night.
I'm taking notes. I don't play video games at all. I used to every once in a while I'll get a game and want to fuck with it, but I'm older.
No better time to start.
Right, exactly. But I knew that there was a real possibility of losing the internet, so I wanted to make sure I had some kind of like tangible entertainment system to be able to keep my mind occupied.
Yeah.
And video games is where it's at. Just make sure you download this fucking thing. Because I didn't realize that because I'm that old. I forgot you actually have to download the preface shit to get it to work, even with the disc.
I still have discs.
Yeah. Well, no, even with the disc, like you got to put it in the PlayStation and download like the software to run the damn
the
program
updates and yeah,
all that shit, dude. Yeah. Fucking
yeah.
A, man.
So something I actually, Chris, you were out while we were talking about this, but we had sort of talked about it on the phone. But when you see these videos of people just going to the movie theaters, going out to the beaches, and going like acting like everything's normal, and also you got like I just heard
what
that
is wrong with you?
No, but there's also a bunch of celebrities that are going off about like Evangeline Lilly, who is one of the chicks on Lost, and she was in the Hobbit movies.
Oh, so fuck her.
Yeah,
so,
I know. You
didn't know who the fuck she is. So fucking. Right.
Yeah, no, she was just like, I can't let it take my freedom. And I'm like, you have millions of
dollars.
You have millions of dollars.
She's actually super hot, by the way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We know, Kev.
She gets a pass, my sweet little angel. let me know if you want something strong to hold on to get you through these trying times.
But then you got celebrities like Vanessa Hudgens that are saying, because Coachella got pushed back indefinitely, like, oh, is this worth it? We can't let this dictate our lives. And I'm like, it's Coachella.
Yeah, I know, right?
If jiu-jitsu is a luxury material,
it's insane.
If jiu-jitsu is a luxury item, then Coachella is the luxury of luxury item.
I can't fucking believe these people are that fucking upset about missing fucking. Like, I can't work for 2 months. I have no income coming in for 2 months. Like, that's what I sacrificed. You know what I'm talking about? You just have to miss Coachella. Like, you just can't go to spring break this year. You know, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Well, the governor didn't close the beaches.
To be honest with you, these people could just stay home and take They could just stay home and take the same drugs they were going to take at Coachella anyway.
What the fuck? You wouldn't know the difference. Turn the fucking music on.
Get a bag of sand, pour it on in the basement floor, and then you can just act like
drink a bottle of tequila in 12 fucking
fill a kiddie pull up with sand.
Fucking white claws. Drink 12 White Claws and a bottle of tequila. You think you're in South Beach.
Oh my, White Claw in a sandy basement. That's it, baby.
I got something we could talk about. Chris, you're a musician, so that's cool. You're a pretty accomplished musician. You like to record, do things like that. You could play an instrument. So the question I'm trying to say here is that, like, I'm trying to think about things that you can do besides jiu-jitsu that don't necessarily have to be exercise oriented, but could maybe expand upon your jiu-jitsu mind in the same artistic manner. And I think that there's a lot of I play a little bit of, I play the guitar, not very well, but I play a little bit. And I think from what I've heard of other musicians is that the same part of your brain that you use to fight and or do jiu-jitsu is the same element of playing a musical instrument. It's that idea of being calm under pressure and kind of allowing your body and the muscle mechanics to work on their own while you're still caught up in an emotional situation. Do you think that other people could find other ways to kind of train that part of their brain along their house, like maybe painting, playing musician, doing things like that?
So first thing, I think I got all of that. The audio is kind of cutting in and out.
Yeah, so I can see you're kind of lagging a little bit, man.
Okay, so I'll Chris, can you hear me? Chris,
not well.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is that better? Is that better?
No.
Okay.
Do you want me to leave?
What if he's connected to the Wi-Fi?
Could you leave and come back? That usually helps. So just exit out.
Tell him to connect to the Wi-Fi too when he comes back.
Oh no, I think he was. I think it's just sometimes when you're on a phone it gets overclocked, so you got to come in and out a little bit. But
it's actually a pretty good show.
Yeah, man. Like Chris is a great. Chris is a great.
Chris is cool. Chris is cool,
dude. Also, like. I'm gonna edit this.
Try to keep me on track. Don't let me
go. No. I get
it's the rabbit hole.
Okay,
you're the man. Cool,
Chris. There we go. All right.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Much better.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Are you connected to the Wi-Fi?
It happened again.
Are you connected to the Wi-Fi on your phone, or is it 3G?
No, I should be on Wi-Fi. I'm in my.
I don't know. Sometimes it gets disconnected, so I mean, just.
Yeah, we're fucking.
To be sure.
This is the end of us, Chris. This is the end of us, Kev.
I don't know why I even.
Okay, can you hear me now? You can't.
Yeah, it's fucking. Yeah, it's wrecked.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially, Kev was challenging you to a battle of the bands. He's going to show up to your door.
We're gonna have a shred off, a virtual
like that
shred off.
scene in Tenacious D, Pick of Destiny, where they have to fight Satan for the pick. That's gonna happen, but he's gonna come to Jersey and do it at your front door.
No, I definitely ain't fucking going to Jersey. I ain't going nowhere right now.
No,
I got
man.
family in Jersey.
No, so I think the gist of it was, is
Right.
there anything that people can do that would exercise kind of the same parts of their brain that fire?
Right, 100%. Right.
Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. First of all, do you find that same connection between music and jiu-jitsu in that manner, the same elements of brain power in that regard?
I don't know. I don't know if it's like the way that the human brain functions or just me as an individual. I need to be making things, like constantly creating, whether it is like physical movement through jiu-jitsu or playing songs or drawing. Like if I'm not doing that, I'm going to kind of lose my mind and probably sink into like a very deep and dark depression. So I don't always know how to like tell people what's going on with me or how I feel, but I can play it for you.
Right.
I can paint it for you. I can, and even the way I train is like very indicative of like how my personality is. I think the last time I was on, I was talking about, being authentic to yourself and expressing yourself, and like, you can't fake your movement and be someone that you're not. But my mood certainly has a lot to do on like how much pressure I'm putting down or not. You know what I mean? Not in a negative way. Because I have the control that like if I'm having a bad day, I don't go and smash all my students. But like there will be a difference if I'm having a bad day. I'll just play tighter. And if I'm having fun and kind of feeling myself, I'll play a little more loose and take more chances, right? Like there's that kind of thing. But I mean, this is the best time to like work on your hobbies. Right. Build a chair, build a table, hang up all the shelves in your house that you haven't put up that have been sitting in a closet for years.
That's funny. Like, that's kind of some shit that I'm thinking. Guys, I'm in my house now. I'm like, oh fuck, which is probably gonna wear thin too. But I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna go in and clean all my cabinets out. I'm gonna get in there and fucking like really deep clean this shit. I'm gonna go through my closet. I may paint my kitchen. Yeah, right. I have all these things that I can, I'm making lemons out of lemonade because I'd really much rather be, doing jiu-jitsu and carrying on with my life. But there are things that you can do to get through shit.
Yeah,
I like to think about
anybody.
This. Yeah, go, Chris.
Oh no, I don't think anybody wants to be doing this, rather than what we have been doing, but make the best out of it, right?
Right. I have a few little things there's something about. And again, as black belts, I always tell my students. I remember when I gave my black belt speech, and this is, I'll get into this because why the fuck not? When you get the custom. I don't know if it's at every gym, but at our gym, it's customary when you get your black belt, you have a few moments to speak and kind of share your things. And I remember I used one of those cheesy little analogies I talked about. The ones where it talks about like what each belt level means, and then they kind of make a comparison to some kind of other thing, you know what I mean? So like the one that I thought about was when you talk about the different belts and you talk about the same idea of learning the English language. So it started off when you're a white belt, you're learning your ABC. So you're kind of learning like basic fucking what each letter means. And as you start to get your blue belt, now you're starting to make those letters into words. And then purple belt, you start making sentences. And then when you get your brown belt, the sentences start to become complete paragraphs. And then once you get to your black belt, it becomes poetry. So what the point I'm trying to make out of that is that when you think about black belt, you think about getting to that point as a black belt. Like I always tell my students, like your real goal here isn't to try to just become this bad person and try to be a tough guy. Those are things you think are going to happen. Like what you're chasing after is finding the beauty within the art, aside from all the violence, aside from all the competitive nature, but the idea that it's a really beautiful living organism that has become a part of you, and you learn how to manipulate that and truly love it and think about it from those terms, and it changes you to make you believe in other things. And once you get to I feel like I could do anything. Like I want to start to learn to play the guitar because it makes you understand that you can really accomplish anything, because I want to get that understanding of everything else too. I hope I didn't talk too much on that. But
hey man, no, you had a song you needed to sing. It's funny. It's funny though because on that point, Chris, you actually have said one of my favorite jiu-jitsu quotes that I've since parroted to other people. I don't know if it's an original. It's about jiu-jitsu being perfect. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I can't hear you.
God damn, man.
God damn it.
I just spilled my fucking guts to you, Chris.
He blew his heart out to you, man. He sang you a song, Chris.
I just bled for
he
that.
He gave you his heart, Chris. He gave you his heart.
No. I was able to make out a bit of what Kev was saying.
Okay, no, I was saying you have a really good quote that you've said a lot. It's about jiu-jitsu being perfect. Do you want to? I don't know if that's you or you got it from someone else. Can you hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me.
I'm trying to figure this out. No, I'm sort of hearing. I don't know. It might be the headphones. It might just be my connection.
Do you want to unplug the headphones?
Unplug the headphones. I think it might be. I think it's probably the connection. But whatever. We love you, Chris.
Yeah, just try it. But keep the headphones on for appearance.
Yeah, just for aesthetics, right?
Yeah, Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Nah, it's fucking maybe.
Can you hear me now?
He's chopping up.
Oh.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me now?
I'm running everything here.
Can you hear me now?
No, it ain't your fault, Chris.
Yeah, no. This is the world we live in.
We got enough out of him, man. Yeah, it was.
But so no, he'll probably come back. But to just in case he doesn't, he loves to say that jiu-jitsu is perfect. It's humans that fuck it up.
Yeah,
it's like it's humans that like that. Jiu-jitsu in a vacuum is a perfect system that you can implement and learn to implement. And that any errors do not come from jiu-jitsu itself, but from your implementation of it. And you could apply that to a lot. Cool. Yeah, but I love it. It speaks to that idea that jiu-jitsu is not about invention but discovery. All the holds of the human body exist because the human body exists in whatever ways you can manipulate it, and it is up to you to find them.
This is what I tell all my students, like your journey towards black belt. When there he is. Hey, Chris is back. Can you hear us now?
No, the audio is still choppy. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
it was fine earlier.
Yeah, fucking bro. We'll just fucking. I love you.
We'll probably.
I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, no worries, man.
Dude, whatever. Bro.
We're gonna say goodbye to Chris and probably wrap it up pretty soon after that. Can you even hear me now?
Yeah. Peace out, brother. Love you.
Okay. See you, Chris. Buddy. Talk to you later.
You guys take care.
Yeah,
man. Busy. Gotta hop.
Yeah, man.
Got it. Bye.
Yes. That sucks. Chris is a cool dude. I would like to get.
Chris is oh my god! I'm in his section and I have the option to kick him from the studio or ban him from the studio.
You're banned.
Banished.
You're banned.
I banished you. I cast you out.
I cast you away.
I feel like such a wizard. But I think now is a really good time to talk about just why it might be hitting us a little bit different. Just because I see a lot of people that are joking like, "Oh man, I can't go to the gym and I got to stay inside. Life's not changed, LOL." And that's if that's your hustle, if that's your life, that's totally cool. I'm not gonna fault you for it, but in a really tangible way, it feels like, for me, I'm just a one-stripe blue belt, and I only started recently ramping up my training under Chris. He took me through my first really successful tournament at blue belt, my first podium finish at blue belt, and I was starting really to feel great about training every day and cutting down to weight, making sure I got crossed my T's and dotted my I's. And now it's like it's gone. And I feel it because of us working for Jiu-Jitsu Times, we feel it how it is everywhere. We're getting reactions from all over the country of people that are just struggling to maintain their love of the sport. And in a real way, it keeps you sane. It keeps you not concerned as much with the day-to-day shit, the day-to-day grind. And it's just it's like a limb.
I mean, it's right. I mean, I will say that a lot of people like to go to the gym, and I won't take anything away from CrossFit, because there's definitely some things about CrossFit that kind of push your limits, and there's that communal property of CrossFit. But I don't think there's anything that I think of more of my family than my jiu-jitsu family. I mean, we go to war together every day. We fight through things every day. We're in there trying to grow and achieve the same goal. And like, in particular, like I have people that train underneath me that I, am passionate about and have dedicated my life and my resources to try to make them reach the same enlightenment in jiu-jitsu that I have. And I love it. There's things about jiu-jitsu that have impassioned me. There's nothing about it that I didn't love throughout the entirety of it. The horrible fucking white belt days, the blue belt days where you think you kind of know what the fuck you're doing, but you really don't know shit. Then the purple belt days where you fucking really start to get good. And then the brown belts where you're like, fuck, this sucks. And then when you're a black belt, you're a black belt. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing about any of that I don't look at and say throughout the entirety of it, it wasn't the most important thing to me in my entire life. And like, that's gone. I can't do jiu-jitsu anymore, and I don't know how long I'm going to be out doing it for. It fucking makes me crazy.
I think anyone could. Yeah, I think anyone could agree. Like, a lot of people, like before jiu-jitsu, if you asked me what's the most valuable thing I got to get out of, like possession that I got to get out of a burning building, I'd be like, oh, my laptop, phone, I guess, maybe a book I really like. I got some books that I really love. I have books that I've carried with me through elementary school that I want to give to my kids one day, like the Artemis Fowl series signed by the author, like a ton of stuff. But now it is so clearly my belt. Like it's not even I need it. Sometimes I'll bring it like just on a trip with me and just have it in my bag, just to have it, because it is even more than my, my master's degree, which I really busted my ass for. It is the one thing that I worked harder than anything else to get.
Right, 100%. Yeah, that's I see that from so many people. Like I enjoy teaching private lessons, and a lot of people give me shit about that. But I enjoy the individual one-on-one on taking it, because a lot of the people that I train with when I do my private lessons, they're elite members of the community, because my shit ain't cheap. You know what I mean? You have to be able to afford. No, it's the truth. I mean, I'm fine. Like, that's what I used to lead with. Hey, I used to be like sheepish about telling people how much it costs. Now it's the first thing I say, because it's like, hey, bro, like I love you, but like I'm not going to waste my best sales pitch on you if you can't afford $100 a session, because that's what it costs. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I just lead with that. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It's $100 a session. Then I go from there and see what they have to say. If they're interested in it still, then we continue on. The point of the matter is that a lot of these people are very accomplished, like yourself. You have a master's degree in communications or marketing, right? I work with a lot of very successful land developers. I have a couple of very big attorneys, medical people that I work with constantly on a daily basis, and they're accomplished. They've done things in their life. And jiu-jitsu is still something that they can say, holy shit. As much as I've accomplished, as much as I've trained, and much as hard as I've worked, this is something new that I can be like, holy shit, this is difficult. No one's going to give this to me. I have to go out there and earn that. And it changes people, man. People love it.
Like it's a big example, but that there's that video that a bunch of celebrities put out there, all of them singing Imagine by John Lennon. And It's like, oh, just imagine not even worrying about possessions. And I'm like,
right.
Dude, yeah, I don't think that you guys are really jacked in. But who wasn't in that video? Henry Cavill and Ashton Kutcher. Maybe it's not because they were asked, or maybe it's because they've trained. Right. Ashton's a brown belt. He's got Craig Jones speaking for him. I think he's smart enough to know that he would stay the hell away from something like that.
Yeah, it's another thing that comes out of this, and that I think will hopefully resonate throughout the entire world, is like how important like real things are, like your family and your friends and real connections. And like, this is a real life thing we're experiencing here. This is a frightening thing that is dangerous, and like people are going to die. I hope it's not the case, and I really pray every day, but like, if we're looking at like a 2% mortality rate, like people that are going to die, probably multiple people are going to die.
Yeah.
And it's a frightening thing to think about.
And also seeing people my age really treat this thing like not a big deal, like we're indestructible. Yeah. It bums me out, because I'm like, oh man, people like when I get old, people might look at me and assume I was a spring break idiot that was spreading coronavirus all over the place.
We'll call you like Generation Corona.
Oh, and there's gonna be Corona babies. Oh
Corona
man,
babies. Yeah, we talked
about that. I would like to posit, and I'm bummed Chris isn't here because I want his take. But I would posit that. Do you think when this is over? Because I think it's gonna have an ending. I don't know how long, but it's gonna have an ending that people will have a. Do you think we'll see people rushing like en masse to gyms, even the people that weren't training, like to try jujitsu? Because I mean, they spent months not being able to even try.
Kev, I'm worried, man. I'm worried, and I'm very worried because I just don't know what's to come. Like when we get through this, we could be heading for one of the worst economic disasters in maybe the history of the planet. You know, I mean, who knows, man?
It's like that worse than the housing market, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems that way. It's already kind of worse than that if you look at the stock markets, and there's no end in sight. I mean, the thing that frightens me is when we get done with this, there's going to be a whole shit ton of broke people with absolutely no fucking way to figure it out. But the bright side of it is there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to get back to work. So I think we're going to figure out a way to do it. I just hope that the jiu-jitsu world can endure the struggle, because like I said, jiu-jitsu is a luxury item, so it's going to be the first thing to get cut. Hopefully enough people will be able to keep these gyms afloat so that we can get back to our normal lives when it's all done.
And I think that's a good place to sort of end on and like remind the viewers that this is a very small, relatively small group of people, you know, just like even globally, we're all like an island of misfits, and, you know, no one's going to bail us out. No one's going to there's not a massive governing body, you know, that's incorruptible, that's going to take care of everybody. We're on our own, you know. We got to take care of ourselves, and it's about just being nice to your fellow man, you know, and woman.
Let's use this to come together instead of going apart, guys.
Yeah, it's driving us to isolation, you know, and obviously stay inside. That's not a call to go out and act like everything's fine. If you're a spring breaker, if you want to go on spring break, take 5 seconds to think if you really want to go on spring break. Remember that you might run into this guy. Oh, and you got to explain to him why you're not inside.
No, I'm Chris. Kev, I'll tell you, man. I tell you, buddy. When I woke up daily and looked at those kids on the beaches, there was just a moment of anger. Like, I'm just gonna go down there. I'm gonna take a bat and I'm just gonna start swinging.
But you didn't do that. You didn't do that. It's important. He didn't do that.
I'll tell you one thing, man. Like I'm a little bit older, man. I may be a little bit more broken down, but there ain't much in the world I think that can stop an angry Coach Kevin, except maybe with a 45. And I don't think the kid's got any place to hide a gun. So
I would say that you'd probably do some damage before the cops would probably be insufficient. They call in the National Guard.
Right.
They probably call in the local zoo to an ape escaped. He's at the beach. He's tearing people apart. You need to
eventually the sheer numbers would overtake me, but I'd sure as hell take a whole lot of women.
For a moment,
my point would be made.
For a moment, people are like, Harambe came back and he's punishing us for going on spring break. your hairy ass down there. But yeah,
Kev, I want to go play Red Dead Redemption.
I'm going to go play. Actually, I can't play. I got a lot of work to do. But you go play Red Dead Redemption for me. Just to call out there to the people, we know you're suffering. It sucks. And to the gym owners, please hang in there. Everyone, try your best to support your local jiu-jitsu studio, because we need them and they need us. It's a very symbiotic relationship, and it's their places of love, you know? So just like, try your best. We gotta wear this one out, guys.
I'll say one thing. I'm pretty sure myself and Kevin are both dedicated to give you as much content as you could possibly need, because we're gonna have absolutely nothing to do for the next.
I mean, for real, all I'm doing, I'm dedicated. I've given up training legs just because that's annoying to do without a squat rack and like some machines. So I'm doing nothing but pull ups and like chin ups, and I'm just gonna have massive and dips. So I'm gonna have massive arms and lats.
You're gonna be right. You're gonna be ripped.
I'm just gonna have lats that are out to here. I'm gonna look like a Dorito, just like a giant chip.
All right, Kev, I'm hanging up on you.
All right.
Cool.
Have a good one, everybody. Cool Ranch.
You like that one? You can use that. You can keep that one, kid.
All right. Stay safe, everybody. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, bud.